Welcome. This is Micah Fairchild, Editor-in-Chief of PayrollLab.com, and today our discussion focuses on Workday. In a previous conversation we highlighted Workday's user experience, their multi-tenant SaaS deployment model, and their three distinct payroll packages of Workday Payroll, co-sourcing, and third-party integration functionalities. Today, we hope to expand on those areas and strike a balance between what this solution and Workday in general is particularly good at and the elements that, from our perspective, need work. So to help us get through all that material, I've called upon my colleague, Chuck Schaefer, CEO of Vantive Media, to give us some expert input. Hello, Chuck. It's good to have you with us today.
Happy to be here, Micah. If but for no other reason than to talk about one of the newest publicly traded HCM software publishers that is making waves with disruptive technologies, increased global presence, and one of the industry's best soap operas between Workday's co-founder Dave Duffield and Oracle's Larry Ellison.
How right you are. And even though we could probably talk a good long while about that juicy little tidbit, let's get down to some more substantive issues. So straight out of the gate, what's impressed you about the Workday solution other than what we've already covered?
Well, much like we've highlighted with some other payroll software vendors for their compensation management capabilities, I'd also have to give credit to Workday for similar functionality which is increasingly used by HCM payroll and even line of business managers. This module is Workday's solution for creating, managing, and consolidating employee compensation across multiple plans, teams, and geographies. What I really like about this module compared with other vendor solutions is that Workday's aggregation of compensation data can deliver near real-time visibility, permitting useful analysis and timely course corrections or assurance of the links between compensation, performance management, and business objectives, which is no small task. Not only that, but with this module, organizations can define and manage global base, variable, equity, and allowance pays, roll out multi-plan, multi-target, and multi-currency compensation processes to global teams, and drill down into performance-based pay results to ensure top performers are appropriately compensated. From a business intelligence perspective, this level of detail on compensation management is rare, and this overall capability is exceedingly helpful in aligning HCM leaders with the company's business strategy and empowering those leaders to make a more direct and strategic contribution to their business's top objectives.
Yeah, that's true, Chuck. And because Workday's business intelligence is built directly into the Workday solution, it gives customers the ability to access, interrogate, analyze, and manipulate that data, and then take appropriate action, all directly from the Workday system itself.
Yeah, clearly business intelligence that's tightly embedded into the daily workspace of knowledge workers and decision makers is much more likely to actually get consumed and acted upon than a separate BI go-to destination. And with their multidimensional drill-down capabilities that allow action to be taken in the HR system from reports, often with variable measures and dimensions, Business Insight is dynamic, flexible, and fast. And like other payroll systems we've reported on, customers have the option of leveraging one or more of the 200 plus packaged reports, or reports can be custom built. But the big benefit of Workday that they can provide in this area is that customers get the insight and context based on user, role, organization, position, location, activity, and more.
Another thing that impresses me about the Workday solution, at least, is the payroll connector. In our top 10 review, we briefly touched on the company's Cloud Connect, which, by the way, also interfaces with Cloud Connect for benefits. But we didn't get a chance to really dig any deeper into Payroll Connector. So here's what stands out to me. It provides the capabilities to structure pay groups to match the payroll solution requirements. But then you can also configure and populate custom payroll fields that are required by that payroll solution, and you can define transactions as one-time or one-off payroll events. Plus, you can format and validate that data, validate that the data conforms to the payroll system requirements. And payroll audits is another option, so you can see exactly what data was captured, selected, and then sent to payroll.
Well, I might get excited about business intelligence and analytics, but only a payroll junkie like yourself would get excited about those functions. But to keep on the payroll data train, another area worth mentioning for prospective cloud-based payroll software buyers is that Workday maintains some of the highest security standards in the industry. Of course, this is to be expected from a software as a service and cloud-focused vendor like Workday, but with ISO 27001 for global companies, SSAE 16 for Sarbanes-Oxley regulated companies, and Safe Harbor for European compliance, their hosting capabilities and third-party audits and attestations demonstrate a commitment to data handling, internal controls, uptime assurance, and information security. And they also have multiple Tier 4 co-location data centers on the U.S. East and West Coast for redundancy, and in Europe, which can be particularly helpful for EU data privacy regulations.
Good points. I'm actually glad that you brought up how Workday is competing on that global stage. And I think that's important to note because potential clients with EU headquarters are much more likely to give credence and business, quite frankly, to a company with data centers that are located in the EU, not least of which because of their stringent data protection directives. And this suggests an increasingly firm non-U.S. base for Workday, which just further cements the company's presence in both the Middle East and Africa and even the Asia Pacific region. So those are some positives. What about areas Workday needs to improve upon?
A few things. First, despite delivering innovation by leveraging the benefits of consumer technologies and integration to social media, Workday itself lacks transparency and thereby for many social customers lacks trust. For example, the company is very difficult to engage in for discussion beyond marketing speak, and Workday is not transparent with information customers want to see, such as pricing models, preferring instead to let their sales professionals hold back pricing information as a requirement for prospects to engage in a vendor-imposed sales cycle and negotiation. That model's falling behind. For example, take Workday's partner, Salesforce.com, who's a good example of a social company and publicly displays their pricing list right on their website in order to remove the sales gamesmanship from the customer's purchase process. Sure, Workday pricing has variables, and it's based on a subscription model that's focused on total number of employees or total revenue and service areas, rather than on just a flat per-user basis. But customers can certainly figure that out, and Workday's kidding themselves if they think by hiding their pricing, buyers will be forced to engage in their sales tactics.
I'm with you 110% on that one. But what else would you leave with our viewers before we finish up?
A few more things, actually. As is the case for most of the other similarly situated enterprise-level payroll HR software solutions on the market, Workday Payroll is built as part of the broader Workday Human Capital Management offering, a fact that does allow for some built-in efficiency leverage, including some of the same business processes in the framework and core employee data for both applications, as well as a unified self-service solution for employees, which means things like time-off requests, online payslip checking, payment elections, and the like can all be made from the same system. Currently, direct payroll processing for the Workday solution is limited to the U.S. and Canada. However, it should be noted that through the system's other payroll options, international capabilities can be extended. Multinationals can plug existing payroll vendors into the Workday integration cloud, a seemingly pragmatic approach, but depending on the capabilities and service agreements, could unfortunately still result in the customer having to manage the individual country vendors themselves. And finally, if you have a unique command of what your business requirements are and you're fixed on the ownership or control benefits of an on-premise deployment, the Workday is almost assuredly not the right solution for your payroll or HR needs.
Thanks for those last few points there, Chuck. And I actually think that's a great way for us to end things. So thanks for tuning in for our Workday conversation today. And be sure to catch up with us next time as we continue our exploration of the nexus of payroll processes, payroll strategies, and technology.